Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to Anime King. And today I'm going to be giving you part 4 of What If Naruto failed his Genin test and was given intense training. Remember to give this one to 100 likes as usual. Share this with your friends on your social media platform. And also guys, go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto's Elite Blue Eye Uchiha that I post on this channel. And stay tuned for a new episode of Anime King 2 and Anime King 3. And if you're new and this is the first time you hear my voice, yes, you heard that correctly. I have 3 channels, Anime King 2, and Anime King 3. So go ahead and click those red subscribe button. Links will be down in the description for Anime King 2 and Anime King 3 for you guys to enjoy. And remember, if you're new, join the channel and comment down below and tell me. I'll be replying talking about all of you. So yeah, without further ado, what is to begin this new episode? Start the intro. So the last spot we left off, Aoba saw how bad Naruto fighting skills were. As it was ingrained in the boy, it would be harder to change. He can focus on that once he became Chunin, so he can focus on Kinjutsu for now. Sakura went by the house to apologize to the dog owner that she was the one that yanked on the dog's leash. But the man inadvertently told her that Naruto was the demon. As Sakura put 2 and 2 together and realized what he was talking about, she was shaking to her very core. The demon was sealed inside Naruto? He was a demon? Sai, who was there as well, heard the man told a Konoha extra secret to a Genin that wasn't supposed to know it. He went inside and the man was silenced. Sakura became a bit fearful of Naruto as Naruto saw the way she was acting around him. Time passed as they were dealing with a circuit breaker. They were going through different plugging in batteries as Sakura. She was a bit startled when Naruto called out to her, seeing that he took the big battery from her as he went to work on it. Sai accidentally pushed a button as Naruto was electrocuted. He was taken to the hospital by Aoba. As Naruto was grinding pain, they also left him in pain. A man came over though that was in the hospital, circulating wind chakra through Naruto's body and getting rid of the electricity. It was Danzo Shimura. As Naruto was happy to meet the man because the man knew who he was and know what he held, but the man spoke to him and talked to him like any normal people would. Sakura felt really bad with herself as Aoba questioned her about what she knew about, the man's death. She was frightened as Sai had talked to her as well and told her that if she said anything her family, they would be in danger and her life would be cut short as she was frightened by Sai. She spoke to Naruto after that as she tried to keep herself calm, but it was still nerve-wracking thinking about the situation. But Naruto was trying his best not to make things bad on her by forcing himself in the situation. When he went home, the water was cut off as he went by. Late in the night, as all of the shops were, none were around. He saw a shop though, as to his surprise, Shimura-san was in there. As the both of them spoke again, Danzo was playing everything perfectly. Soon enough, Naruto will find another slip with a name on it. The only other Uzumaki that was in Konoha. And the truth sometimes can be the greatest weapon. Hiruzen was lacking behind as he did not catch on to this so quickly. Danzo was the one that had the water shut off in Naruto's apartment as Naruto went out, by Danzo's words, to speak to the Hokage about getting it turned on back. Hiruzen came in towards the shop as he was pissed, but he had to quickly calm down as Naruto came in as well, as he greeted Danzo pleasantly as he left, saying that he had paperwork to do. As Naruto came in back and told Danzo about what his sensei said, Danzo gave Naruto a sharp blade, something that the second Hokage liked to use, as the man created the raging blade that was literally made up of lightning, but it was too noisy, and the man used it most time for assassination mission, this sharp blade. As Naruto started to cry, having someone accepting like this and giving him something, a weapon to use, helping him, it was just too much for the boy's senses. Danzo smirked as he placed a hand on the boy's shoulder, as he was pulling Naruto closer and closer in, and there was nothing Hiruzen could do right now that could separate them, as everything was working as scheduled. So yeah guys, was basically that's what I thought you guys gained. Switch across the place and check out for yourself. So this will begin this new episode. Sakura woke up and expected another easily ranked today, but she was stopped by her mother and father. Her parents were usually out of the house before she woke up, and they already went off to work, but now they were here. That was surprising. Sakura's father said, "We need to talk." "Dad?" "Sakura dear, could you please listen to us carefully," her mother said, showing concern and worry on her face. "Mom, you're scaring me," she said. "We decided you could go to the academy and become a kunoichi, Sakura, because we trusted you to be serious about this." Her father crossed his arms. "We expect you to be the best, and only if you were the best, we would allow you to continue. You were always first in class, and that was good enough," her mother said, her eyes traveling up and down her, like she was a slab of meat for the butcher to deal with. "But now, you dare not to tell us that you've been teammates with the Kyuubi. That is something we cannot tolerate, Sakura," her father yelled, pointing his finger at her. "Your grandparent died because of that beast. Have you no shame, child? Maybe he's corrupting you. Maybe he's tainting you. We should have you cleansed," her mother said. "Fire should work." As Sakura saw, behind her was her father's bakery, as there was nothing but fire. As her body was wrapped up in chains, she was confused. "No, please, it's not." Sakura screamed as she jumped out of bed. Looking around in her room, her breathing was ragged as her eyes adjusted to the room around her. She took a slow, calming breath. It had been a nightmare. Her parents were always out early, working with her father's bakery, so she had yet to tell them about her teammates and her team number. The usual means of communication was through post-it notes attached to the refrigerator with magnets. She shook her head as she was finally awake. Really? Throwing her in the oven. Fire purifying her. What had she eaten the night before? Alright, she hadn't. She was fasting so that she could get slim enough for Sasuke. Her stomach grumbled. She made her way as she showered and freshened up. When she came out, she looked towards the kitchen. Of course, there was the bread of the day waiting for her. She could give these to the birds at the park if they passed by there. Or she could take, well, some of it with water if she get hungrier. She had to fast after all, so that she could slim down. She slipped on her sandals and she made her way outside. The village was peaceful as ever, as she went by and waved to all the friends of her family. As she wondered why hadn't she gathered the courage yet to ask Naruto the question. What is it like to have the Kyuubi seal inside of you? She was honestly curious. The Kyuubi was bigger than a mountain, right? And it was powerful. The fourth Hokage had died to seal it, and that man had tore apart a battlefield against hidden stone shinobis in less than a second, right? As she neared the entrance towards the tower, Sai was nowhere to be seen, and neither was her sensei. The nightmare probably gave her a false sense of time, as she hadn't bothered to check the clock. She plopped down on the bench near the door when she heard something. She didn't turn. What the hell? Naruto was sitting there the entire time. Why didn't she see him? She realized why now. Naruto's common trait, that bright blonde hair of his, was gone. It was black, and he was also carrying a sword that was sheathed. "Naruto?" "Sakura," he said. "You're here." "I dyed it," he said, as he looked rather embarrassed as he spoke. Black is easier to hide in shadows. Blonde is just glinting. "Ah," she said and nodded. Her gaze went to her own hair. Her bright, pink hair. Could she do the same? Well, Ino had blonde hair and she never dyed hers, so why would she do the same? And Sasuke hated girls with black hair. He had told so to the unfortunate bitch who tried to dye her hair and call herself the future Mrs. Uchiha. "Listen, Naruto," she said after a moment. "Can I ask you a question?" He frowned, but he nodded a moment later. She was about to ask him of the Kyuubi, but she paused. She couldn't ask him that. She was in public. What if someone heard and killed her because of it? What is like not to have no parents? That was the question that came out of her mouth. She felt like she wanted to bash her head in the wall. How stupid could she be? Yet he smiled. A smile that looked like it was filled with pain and grimace. Then an actual smile. A smile that made her insides twist as she realized how idiotic and stupid that question was. Why did she have to do that? "I live on," he whispered. "I'm sorry," she blurted out. "I didn't mean to." "Can we talk about something else, please?" he asked. She lowered her head, feeling stupid and idiotic. How the hell could she have asked that? As the both of them drifted into silence. Really, what a good teammate she was. No wonder her sensei wanted to feel her. As she then heard, someone spoke. My, if it isn't the big forehead. She looked up to see Ami, flanked by Kiba and Sasuke. Sakura mentally groaned. What else could go wrong that day, she wondered herself. Ami felt good on putting Sakura down. She was the one that got chosen to be with Sasuke-kun and his team, as she spent most of the day with him. The only thing Sakura had was a nearly dead last guy, and some freak that she hadn't even heard about. Plus, they were Team 13. Didn't they know that that team never passed in the last years? That was a team of failures. She smirked as she saw the girl wince, as it felt good to be above. Sasuke, the dark-haired boy, spoke next to the pink-haired girl, acknowledging Sasuke with a light nod. Naruto, Sasuke said. He answered back with his usual dark way of speaking that was just so awesome, Ami thought. She was confused. Who was this guy? Sasuke never talked to her, and he never once said her name. The most she got out of Sasuke was grunts. She then realized who it was. Change your here, Naruto, Kiba spoke up. Did you become a fan of the almighty Uchiha as well? Kiba, said Naruto, as Naruto did not say another word. The Inuzaka had known Naruto for as long as they went to the academy, but once Toki had died, Naruto had stopped rise to Kiba baits, and that actually ended discussions between the two. Sasuke-kun must be tired to hear your screeching voice every day, Sakura said, as Naruto looked towards Sasuke with amusement. This was the usual scene he grew to see in the academy. Girls fought over him and he looked away. But he knew why the boy didn't simply say no. He already tried once, but that just made the girls try harder. As it made Naruto wonder sometime if the girls ever got him alone in a dark corner, they would probably rape him, with how crazy some of them were. Anyway, where's your sensei? Do you even have one? Are you in a Genin pool, like all the losers? Said Ami. Of course you're the sensei. We passed the exam. I'm sure Sasuke can help you all the way though. Well, he did carry me like a princess. Aren't you jealous? Ami said. Dream on, said Sakura. Her arms crossed over her chest as she puffed her cheeks and turned to the side. Dickless, Cherry, you're early. Sai's voice came in. Kiba blinked at the nickname. Dickless? Naruto? Really? It's a nickname like any other, said Naruto with a shrug. I've had worse. As the two girls kept on their bickering for a few more minutes, before silence descended in the group. What was your test? Naruto asked as he looked towards Sasuke. We had to get 2 bells from our sensei, said Sasuke. What the hell was going on? Kiba asked. As he's been trying to get the Uchiha to talk for days now. Unless it's a or dog breath, or waste of space. Nothing. But yet the two of them were talking so casually. Was it because the two of them were brooders and liked kept by themselves? What the actual Kiba? Language. In front of a lady, said Ami, before he could curse the last part. You? Sasuke asked. He looked towards Naruto. Sasuke didn't dislike the blonde. No, Raven, actually. At the first year of the academy, the boy was a nuisance, a dope. One day then, it all changed. He was absent for a week, and when he came back to class, he had actually missed him. If it wasn't for Iruka-sensei calling out his name, he would have not even noticed the boy in the dull colors at the back of the class. Sasuke had saw Naruto's eyes that day and he knew that gaze. He saw it every day while looking at the mirror. The pain of losing someone dear to you. And Sasuke knew that. With this silence and determination to work, there was a kinship between them. He hadn't approached him and he hadn't approached back. An understanding just built between them along the years. That understanding morphed into something, if not respect, well, not annoyance. Infiltration of bandit camp and retrieval of fake wounded sensei, said Naruto. After leaving us in the middle of nowhere. Killed anyone? Sasuke asked. I thought I had, Naruto whispered. Sasuke did not pry anymore, as he saw the look on Naruto's face. But it was a hurt look on the pink-haired banshee. Was Sakura her name? That made Sakura perplexed. Hadn't he told his teammates? He probably hadn't. Judging by how stricken the girl looked. As Naruto winks a bit, remembering. He didn't even know why he had told Sasuke. Probably because the boy knew how to keep quiet. But the others were around, and they heard as well. It had felt so real. The scent of blood as his kunai slashed through the throat of the bandit. It was an accident. He had infiltrated from the side of the camp. The bandit had been there beneath him. He didn't really have much of a choice. He had swallowed up his anxiety and stress, and he had made his way down. As he had threw the ninja wire and wrapped it around the man's throat and pulled it. Pulling the man down to the ground, he had stabbed the man with the kunai. Blood had gushed out on him. He had felt it. He had felt the liquid and tasted the liquid that tastes like copper. He had seen it all and he wanted to run, but he did not. He took the ninja wire back and moved on, feeling dirty for all the blood that was sprayed on him. He had settled the wire, set up everything, the explosive tags that Sai had with him. He had then let off the explosion, and Sai had moved in to rescue their sensei. Sakura couldn't see him act because there was a large wooden barrel between her and them. He could have died in the moment. That is what he believed at the time. That is why he acted without a thought and he sliced the man's throat. He had dreamed that it for nights. He kept on waking up, as he had to repeat to himself over and over it was a dream. He didn't know how to work this mess out because really, how could he go to Hokage and told him that he didn't want to be a ninja anymore? It was that he didn't want to be a ninja. He didn't want to die. It was cowardly, it seemed to most people, but he didn't want to protect the people of Konoha. Not when they hated him, always saying bad words towards him. What was the point? All those stares, those glares, for him to risk his life for them. He was a Jinjulki of the Kyuubi. The demon beast was sealed inside of him. Couldn't they just give him a stipend for being the jailer of the Kyuubi and left him be? He couldn't enter civilian life. People would never give him a chance. He was a shinobi to pay his bills and food. That is the only reason why he was a shinobi. But now there was actually people who wanted to teach him. He had cried in joy when Danzo had helped him. The old man was one of the few that knew and did not resent him. The man even offered to teach him of all people, about Kinjutsu. He was going to learn from a retired shinobi that had fought in the war, and the man had even entrusted him with his own sword. How could he just say no? He couldn't do that. There was expectations for him right now, and he had to satisfy them. He didn't even have a choice. If he tried to leave the village, someone would probably find him and bring him back, and then things would just be worse for him. He saw his sensei arriving as he sighed in relief, wiping the thoughts away from his mind. The man was honest, at least, his sensei. He didn't know if he hated him or not, but at least he was honest. Aoba sensei didn't lie, or if he did, he hid it well. You three waiting for Kakashi, Aoba said, eyeing the three Genins that didn't belong to his group, as Kiba added with a yeah. The man grimaced a bit. Good luck with that, he said. As they stepped inside the Hokage Tower, heading for the mission office, Naruto spoke. Sensei, I found a Kinjutsu teacher. And a sword. Aoba nodded. Who is he? And what weapon did you choose? Shimura Danzo, Sensei. I will learn how to use a Tanto. Dickless can spar with me then. Once you learn something, Sai said. Well, I suppose it will do, said Aoba. They entered the mission office and one of the Chunins handed over a D rank. Sakura felt like something was wrong. She couldn't pinpoint it, but there was something extremely wrong going on. Was it the fact that their sensei hadn't asked for more? Or the fact of all people that Naruto found a sensei, a teacher to teach him Kinjutsu? He was the Jinjulki of the Kyuubi. That didn't change anything to her. But for the rest of the village, she knew how they glare at him. But how could he find a teacher so easily and so quickly? He couldn't, as Sai had a Tanto as well. And was rather suspicious Naruto started to train one as well. And the reason that her sensei wasn't saying anything, that was rather puzzling. But that wasn't what bothered her. She had to know how Naruto managed to talk to Sasuke. If she found out how to do that, then that Ami bitch wouldn't be a bother at all. She would ask him in their D-rank mission, and she will find out. Today's duty is street sweeping and garbage collecting near the market district. She winks, really? That was one of the horriblest jobs ever. At least it will give her time to talk to Naruto. When they arrived at the market, many of the places were closed, but one of them was open. Sakura didn't know why, but Naruto seemed all jittery as he looked towards the store. As a man then made his way inside. As she saw Naruto turn his head, she shrugged. She would just have to wait for now. The moment their D rank was finished, she was about to talk to him, but he dashed away. She stood there with her mouth half open as her eye twitched. Sensei. The man looked down. Yes, Sakura? Where does Naruto live? I have to drop off something of his. It was a little white lie. She doubted it would be much of a problem for her sensei to tell her. But yet she saw him frown for a moment. Sakura, are you and Naruto together? The man asked. Her mouth widened in shock as she paled. What? No, I love Sasuke-kun. There's no way I will fall in love with... It's not a matter of love. Or not, Sakura, said Aoba. It's a matter of a team. 3 work members. Coupling. Couples cannot be on an assigned 3-work team. Relationship in a team must be made. Known immediately. Do you know why? She blinked. She didn't actually think about that. Because it poses a safety risk. Indeed, a couple tend to worry about one another, failing to take in account the other member of a team. Choudin squads with 4 or more can overcome that problem, but Genin squads cannot. It is also difficult to train a team with a working couple in it, since it will distract them from their full potential. Sakura smiled at that. That meant if that Ami bitch managed to make Sasuke fall for her, they had to swap the team. Couldn't reach it. Then she would end up with Sasuke-kun. Or maybe they could swap Sai with Sasuke-kun. Then she would use Naruto help to get Sasuke to talk to her. And she would finally win his heart. Then they would go on Chunin mission together. And finally have many babies. As there was a glee in her eyes as she smiled brightly. As her nose started to bleed a bit with excitement. Sensei, Cherry is scaring me, said Sai as he stepped away from the girl. Somehow, while Aoba didn't say it out loud, he felt it too. Meanwhile, Naruto settled himself on the Ichiraku ramen stand. As he hesitantly looked towards Ayam, but it was Ayam's boyfriend that served him. Naruto, what can I get you today? Mizuki smiled at him as Naruto smiled back. Pork noodles, he asked, more than ordering. Coming right up, the voice of Ayam said. So enjoying your D ranks, Mizuki asked, its face still showing a smile. Oh yeah, Mizuki-sensei, he said a nod, as he split the chopsticks. The man had actually made it past the exam, so he supposed he should be thankful about it. They're alright, he said. Just you wait until your first C rank, the man said. The kiddie gloves, come on for those. I suppose they do, said Naruto as he looked down towards the wooden counter. A few meaning, less chatter. In a few minutes, as his order then came to him, as he started to eat in silence. The taste of the pork bun was a bit spicy. The noodles taste a bit thickly as well, but maybe it was a type of plate, as he drank from it. It seems like it was poorly washed as he could taste the soap. He didn't bother to ask for another. He paid after his meal as he started to walk away, feeling unsatisfied. He hated going around the civilian sector because it reminded him so much of that day. It was just a harmless prank. Why did he have to play pranks? They hurt people. No wonder why people hated him. If only he could go back and change, but he could not. So he had no choice but to go forward what he had. He missed a step as he stumbled along the road. Holding on to his stomach a second later, he felt oozy and cold. At the same time his throat was parched, his eyes were dry. He blinked as he realized he was losing focus at the road ahead of him. There was a bench nearby, he could lie down there just for a minute. Maybe it would just be for a minute. He hoped he wouldn't be late for Shinmura-san first lesson. That wouldn't do. He closed his eyes as he fell down on the bench. His breathing grew uneven for a moment before it settled down. As Naruto blinked and opened his eyes, he didn't know where he was. What he saw though was humongous bars. As Naruto saw a massive 9-tailed fox behind it. Hello. The fox said calmly. Its voice did not boom or trample the air with a sound, despite it being so large. It seemed like the soft-spoken voice of a kind creature, like a sage or an entity or some kind of god. It also seemed to be smiling strangely at him, with his crimson eyes looking at him. You're the Kyuubi, said Naruto. My name is Kurama, the fox said calmly. And yes, I do have 9 tails. Naruto blinked again. Are you surprised? Did you not come here to meet me, the fox asked. Well, no, said Naruto. You didn't call me here? I felt like hell before, but now I feel fine. We are in your mind, Kurama said. Here, nothing can hurt you, except memories. As Naruto winks as he looked around. Why is it a sore? It is dark, cramped, and easily forgotten, the fox said. And the fact that I made no fire of Inte are attribute to this. Earth and water are strong against my element. The fourth Hokage did all this by mind, said Naruto. No, he didn't, the fox said in a chuckle. The Shinigami did, and in exchange the fourth is forced to battle for all eternity my yin half. Naruto grimaced as he settled his eyes on the fox. You don't seem evil. I never said I was, did I? But sometimes intentions are misconcepted. What do you mean by that, said Naruto? I can sense evil intent wherever it is. I know where evil gather and lurk, so I drift towards it in an effort to battle it. However, to the outsider, I am just a giant fox that destroys cities and village, no matter to the evil that lurk inside the village. When I tried to talk, they attacked me first. You are the first to let me talk this much, and for that, I thank you. What do you mean? The fox looked at him curious. You were not told. Told what? Your mother did not tell you anything. My mother's dead, said Naruto as he looked down. Ah, I see. Would you like to meet your father then? What? Said Naruto. I said, would you like to meet your father then? But my father's dead. There's no way I can meet him without dying. Normally, that would be the case, Kyuubi said. But he placed a counter seal right on the seal. You don't have to take my words at face value. Stud the seal carefully and see if these seals are for a counter. If they are, I told you the truth. Trying to remove the seal would free a chakra imprint of your father, who will want to tell you something in the event if I was about to break free. Why are you telling me this? I mean, you're the Kyuubi. Aren't you meant to be evil and want to destroy Konoha? And so on, Naruto asked. Kurama took a deep breath and sighed. The hot breath caused ripples in the water as it reached him and went by. When I was first sealed, the fault lay in Uchiha Madara. Mito Uzumaki the first Jinchuriki did not believe my pleas of innocence. The fox's eyes grew softer as he spoke. The second Jinchuriki, she was your mother. She too did not believe my innocence, nor did she allow me to speak. Do you know the most horriblest feel in the world, Naruto Uzumaki? It is to scream your innocence in the empty room, while you lay, chained, with no escape. Forever trapped, forever slave to be, nothing more than a slave to another. Would you know how that feels, Naruto? It is like hell. I will forever remember the words of those two. It is better if you stay down here forgotten. That was always their message. Do I not have the right to freedom? Am I always forced down, shackled, to be a slave? Answer me this, Naruto. Do I not have the right to be free, to roam the world like I did in the past? I was sworn to my duty by the sage of the sixth path. The shinobi should aid me, not try to capture me for their purposes. The voice then lowered and the fox shook his head, looking down at him. I do not ask you to free me. Your answer will be the same of those before you. I cannot. The village needs you, or your power will bring hatred in the world. I am nothing more than a weapon now, Naruto Uzumaki. And by that extension, you are one as well. Because I am Shaka to Konoha, and so are you. For I am Shaka to you as you are to me. You are no longer a person, Naruto, because I was never considered a real being. Only a mass of chakra, incomplete. That is what I was referred as pathetical. If it can't be of any help, you will die unless you reach a hospital in the next few hours because of the poison. I do not care about your death. If you choose to linger on the bench, eventually I will reform. It is painful, but it's better than this. Naruto blinked as he looked around. How do I get out? That is for you to find out, the Kyuubi said, closing his eyes. Time here stretches for a while, to give you enough time to think. You will die if you don't find a way out though. But that is my problem, isn't it? Naruto spun around as he made his way off into the darkness. As he came back to the bars. Back again, the fox said. I want to leave, Naruto said. Why? Is there something outside waiting for you? Someone that cherishes you. You know you have been poisoned, right? You've only eaten in one place today. Ah, the wonders of human malice. For all the monsters that hide in the darkness, the most dangerous one lurks in the sun. Humanity is so wicked and evil. An evil I've never seen before. Naruto closed his eyes. A silent tear ran down his cheek. I don't want to die. Why not? I want to live. Why? Because I want to, said Naruto. I want to eat ramen. I want to make friends. I want to fall in love. I want to laugh and smile. And will you obtain this in Konoha, the fox asked. I don't know, said Naruto. I only know I don't want to die yet. Things are getting better. Shimura-san is teaching me. Sai doesn't hate me, and neither does Sakura. I can work with him. We can be a team. Oh, the Kyuubi said. Are those bonds that you're thinking of? Or are they shackles and chains? Do they clink as you look at them? Remember my words, Naruto Uzumaki. One day you'll wake up and see the truth as I see it. That day you'll realize that my truth, my words are the only truth in the world. That moment, that precise instant, you'll come to me. And you will ask, set me free. But rest assured, to set you free, you'll have to pay me. The Kyuubi then turned and curled into himself as he closed his eyes. The next instant, Naruto's body was assaulted by pain. The poison coursing through his system. He rolled onto the bench, his eyes open as he puked, throwing out his lunch. It felt like he was being stabbed by tiny pricks all over his body. He was shattering as he got to his feet. He wasn't that far from the hospital. He could make it. He trembled slightly as he took a few steps before falling face first on the ground as everything went black. The moment he opened his eyes, he was in the hospital room. There was no one with him. As he looked around the hospital, his head was throbbing. It felt like someone had hit him in the head with a sledgehammer. But he could feel the feeling of vomit on his tongue. He understood what happened, but his mind just refused to believe it. Had Ion poisoned him? Was that it? Did the price that he regularly paid did not amount to enough? Was his life what the girl wanted? He clenched his fists against the bed. He didn't believe that. He didn't want to believe that. He felt so thirsty and at the same time so bloated. Naruto. He blinked as he tried to focus on the blurry figure next to him. It was dressed in white and red, so either it was a priestess or it was a Hokage. Hokage-sama, he said, his voice sounding parched. Who poisoned you? It wasn't how you were feeling. As the man sounded angry. Naruto, for all the pain that he was feeling, he didn't want to answer that question. It wasn't like there was proof and Ayam had been kind to him. If she had changed recently, who was he to deny her the justice that she deserved? It had been his fault all along. I don't know. You ate at Ichiraku ramen for lunch, the Hokage said. Soon after you fell ill, after resting at a bench for a while. Naruto winks. Of course there was probably some shinobi out keeping an eye on him. It was the only thing that made sense of the entire ordeal. Who poisoned you, Naruto? Hiruzen asked. If you already know, why are you asking? I didn't wish to inflict more pain on you, Naruto, Hiruzen said. But if there's no doubt, I will have Ion checked by Yamanaka-san. And then the Hokage left, tears falling down Naruto's face in the hospital bed. The Kyuubi, deep within the seal, softly chuckled. Freedom would be his, and when that time comes, sweet, sweet revenge would be ripe for the plucking. Time skip. As Naruto felt his body, his muscles, the burning sensation flowing through them. As he could not understand why they deemed Shimura-san unfit for battle. The old cane walking shinobi was very strict. Since he was not present the day before, with a good excuse, the man had double his training time. He was still nursing his tender legs when the man's voice came to ear. "Stand up, Naruto." He gritted his teeth but complied. The pain was already gone, much to his surprise. He thought it would still be running through him. Another run around the grounds. He knew that sometimes teachers gave strange instructions to their pupils for some secret training, something like that. As he started running, he thanked the lucky heavens that his teacher, his Kinjutsu teacher, wasn't like that at all. Danzo explained why he gave the exercise, rather than let him find out why he did it on his own. The purpose of the exercise is to train repetitive motions as the individual. No thinking is involved when doing squats, running around and lifting weights, occupying your mind thinking why they are done. It's just a waste of time. He was tasked with running, so he ran. He had yet to even touch a blade, but it wasn't frustrating him at all. He knew that someone would probably be whining how they should be running around in swords, but he trusted his sensei. "How long does a battle between shinobi should last, Naruto?" Danzo asked as Naruto ran around him. "A good shinobi let it last less than a blink of an eye, Shimura-sensei," said Naruto. Textbook answer, but the truth. As Naruto tried to come up with the answer, but he failed. As Danzo looked at him, "Good shinobis do not battle. They murder, they kill, they steal. Never should a good shinobi be seen as he kills. To engage battle in the front line is not to be a good shinobi. Samurais are the ones that fight battles. Shinobis kill and they murder." That was what all of his root members learned by heart. A root member lived and fought and killed in the darkness. Their corpses littered the sewers, not the ground. Their face gazed at the earth, not the sky. "Do you understand, Naruto?" "Yes," Naruto said. He was hesitant a bit in saying that, and that much Danzo accepted. If he was too eager and said it right away, Danzo would have known that the message did not stuck in his head. To send the boy outside the village on NSC rank was foolish and idiotic. He could see the way the boy moved, the way his eyes scanned the area and remained on his objective. His hands slightly tightened against his cane. If he had the power to do as he see fit, he would have deprogrammed the boy completely and reprogrammed him. He would break and reopen all of his points, making him learn to crawl and then walk like a baby. Everything in the boy screamed self-taught or wrongly learned. And this was supposed to be the Jinjulke, the weapon of Konoha, the supreme fighter that should be able to wipe out the battlefield no matter where he went. Hiruzen didn't keep a tight watch over the boy. To Hiruzen, the boy was poisoned by Ayame Ichiraku, and the girl was waiting trial, and if truth, sentenced to prison. But to Danzo, Chunin Mizuki, spy of Orochimaru, has been trying and failing to poison Naruto for at least months now, whereas Hiruzen saw kindness in Mizuki's eyes for helping out an orphan by making him pass the test. Danzo saw the truth. The man wanted Jinjulke outside, so another team could extract him if he failed to kill him. The boy was foolish. He had no awareness of what surrounded him. If he was half the shinobi he was expected to be, he would have realized his food was poisoned. Yet the Kyuubi was good at something for months now. It kept the poison at bay from not affecting the boy that badly. He would teach a lesson to Naruto soon the moment Ayame was sentenced to prison. He should never trust again. He was a shinobi. He was meant to be with shinobis. The boy was compliable and easy to please. That hasn't changed. If anything though, the loss of a sibling girl had increased his desire to be with others. He seemed to be pleased to have his training hour double. Danzo, sure, if he asked, the boy would have wanted night training as well. This was a sort of eagerness that was lacking in root. The operators they obeyed, but they lacked the spirit. Well, he broke out of them, but still. He gestured for the boy to stop by raising his hand. "Shimura-sensei," the boy said, catching his breath. "Tell me, Naruto, how is a man killed?" The boy remained quiet for a moment. Danzo smirked slyly, as he wanted to see how far the boy's mind could go. Naruto blinked once before answering back calmly. "He can bleed out. Then, he can suffocate. Then, you can stab him." "That's no different than bleeding out," said Danzo. "You can burn him." "Correct, but not for the damage. A high percentage burned skin can send the body into a state of shock." As Naruto closed his eyes, imagining, slicing, burning, smashing was out, so poison? No, poison can either enlarge blood cells, causing bleeding, suffocating the organs inside. As Naruto tried to think of a way, lack of blood, lack of air, lack of preparation, the lack of something is always a cause for death. To kill a man, you can easily take away his lover, his family, his friends, all that he holds dear. The man will then end his own life since nothing holds value for him anymore. Danzo spoke calmly, his eye was settled on every facial experience Naruto's going through. There are many more methods to kill a man, falling from a great height, induce shock, but the however never changes. Remove something and the enemy dies. Do all shinobi have to kill Naruto acts? Yes, said Danzo. It's a required trait for Jonin, but surprisingly, not for Chunins. Many shinobi never wield a kunai and shuriken, more than for practice or training. The Chunin exam usually shed blood, but not life, all along the way. But C rank involved bandits, Danzo said, cutting Naruto off. You will find, Naruto, that your Jonin sensei should be more than able to intervene if you wish for it. Many prefer to kill in front of their genins, so they grew accustomed to death, but not to the act of killing itself. It changed people to kill someone, to snuff a light out of the world, to blow out a candle, to remove the life from something, so that it can never be redeemed. Sometimes death is the only way to solve a conflict. Remember my words, when a conflict arises, the quickest way to put it down is by ending that conflict with death. Killing is the simplest way to go. Shamira-san, do you remember the first time you killed someone? Danzo frowned outward. Inside himself, he tried to remember the first time he did. It had been so long ago. Yes, he recalled. I was with my team. At the time, there was 2 senseis for 6 genins. Especially during the times of war. It was better to have numbers than stealth for low-key mission. And no one that fought the first and second Hokage together. And when the second was the only one remaining, he too had a flee on site order. As Naruto listened, soaking in information, we were scouting the outer perimeter of the front lines. During one checkup, we realized that one of the bunkers were unfinished due to enemy spies. Our senseis went around, and we helped with the bunker. In that moment, the Kumo shinobi, since we were at war with them in the first shinobi war, attacked. As Danzo, remember the explosions, the screams. The shinobi had used light to try to blindside them way in, but they miscalculated who was in defenses. I would have died or been taken prisoner if my sensei did not come to my rescue. Yet I killed a few genins before they arrived to take us out of there. I had fallen on my back in a rather unbecoming way for a shinobi. I was slashing in the ear with my eyes closed, my body filled with fright and fear. The tip of my tanto nicked the neck of one of my assailants. He dropped right on me, bleeding out. That I would always remember. Silence was on the battlefield. Naruto did not know what to say. His first kill was a genjutsu. Did that make the experience less real? It probably did. Enough of this, Danzo said. He pressed his cane. There was a button inside as there was a click. As there was a bleed. Unsheath your blade, Danzo said. As Naruto looked down towards his weapon, as he felt something cold against his throat. Never ever look away from your opponent, Naruto. As Naruto gulped as he found where his blade was, Danzo pulled back his own. As Naruto unsheathed his blade, the position of the blade on your body must be determined on the style that you wish to use. As Danzo flicked the blade so it looked like it was on his side, as he flicked it up, by sweeping it and changing the position of the blade at the same time, you increase the speed that the blade travels. Thus, the speed it cuts. However, if you do wound your opponent, a stab is far less deep than a slash. With that tanto, it is all about stabbing. As he flicked the blade and pushed forward, as Naruto blinked at the speed, if the blade was charged with wind chakra, you would have died. And so would the opponent that decided to jump to the back rather than to the side. Slowly, Naruto saw the blade start to hum, as it was coated in a blue substance. Chakra covered it. Raw chakra does not grant cutting power, Danzo said. It is wasteful, and the most you can obtain is a slighter, better blade than normal. Even the fully fledged chakra blade, the benefits are really lower than you think. No chakra in the blade then, said Naruto. I did not say that, said Danzo. As the blue chakra started to make the humming noise even louder, until it changed into a white glow. This is wind chakra. Danzo flicked his wrist aside. The blade swept a splash out of it that ripped a trench in the ground, and wind chakra cuts. Naruto's eyes could not grow any wider as he nodded in silence. Of course, chakra affinity exercises are something that is taught to chonins aiming for jonin ranks, or something that is taught to a clan member that is part of a large clan. Since you are neither, I cannot teach you how to generate wind chakra, or how to find out your affinity or similar. What I can give you is a control you will need to mold chakra outside your body and into the blade. As Danzo walked slowly towards the nearest tree, tree climbing is the first exercise that is taught to genins. By molding chakra into your feet, you can have them stick to any surface. Defying gravity, the feet is the most difficult part to mold chakra in. So while doing so, you get better chakra control and learn how to multitask even more. Naruto nodded. Danzo frowned and then sighed, and that would be wrong. Danzo held his hand open, his working hand, as he placed it on the bark of a tree. First thing first, put your hand against the bark and let your chakra out of your palm. Naruto quickly obeyed as he released some of his chakra. The tree cracked and splintered. No, less chakra. Considerably less, said Danzo. Naruto closed his eyes, he lowered the chakra. Very, very low. It is a law of nature that chakra is in all living things, said Danzo. Just as overwhelming amount of water would drown a plant. Too little, and the plant would die of thirst. The correct amount is needed for the plant to prosper and for the roots to grow strong. Naruto tried to move his hand, but he couldn't. He opened his eyes, his hand was stuck to the bark of the tree. The hand is the easiest place to mold chakra, said Danzo. Instead of having entire days of waste, you run up and down a tree. Find the correct amount in your hand. You should remain focused on that amount that you're using and bring it to your feet separately. I will be watching you from afar. Do not dilute me. Naruto nodded. The feeling of having someone's expectations on him. It felt like a weight on his shoulders. He felt something warm in his chest at the same time though. The idea of someone watching him train. The idea of someone expecting something from him. He was gonna get this exercise done before the sun settled, or he will die trying. Meanwhile, Aoba was currently watching as his two Genins went through the motion of the academy style. The style by itself was nothing complicated. It was a mere punch, sweep aside the enemy, attack, punch. Judging that the enemy would be tall as Genin. Since in real life that wouldn't be the case. Ever joining teach your students how to accommodate for Genin's height. Hit slightly higher, Sakura. Bend the elbow a bit, Sai, he said. As Sai seemed to have it down perfectly as he turns attention toward Sakura. Sakura, you're already short on breath, he said. No, Sensei. You remember my words on shortcoming and honesty, he said. Her shoulders slump. Yeah, Sensei, I'm tired, she said. Are your muscles aching? Yeah, like hell. Aoba looked thoughtful for a moment as he looked up at the sky. Did you eat lunch? Yeah, she said. And what exactly did you eat? Her gaze fell to the ground as her arms went around herself, like someone that was trying to protect himself from harmful words. Bamboo leaf, she mumbled. And the fact that nothing else came out of her mouth made him sigh. Sigh, could you please start running laps around the training ground? Yes, Sensei, as the boy started to run without hesitation. Sakura, how long have you been deciding what to eat? He expected her parents didn't know anything about this because if they did, and they did not do anything about it, he would have a couple of words with the Genin coloration program. That was a child protective service for shinobis. Sometimes parents accept their children going to the academy, but then they change their mind when they saw their kids coming back with scars. And many parents wanted their child to drop out, but it wasn't that easy. Konoha was, well, they need shinobis. So once there was nothing physical or mental wrong with a student, they have to keep on training. And under the weight of their parents, tell them to do this, do that, sometimes they crack. So the child, the Genin collocation program was born. It assigned one-room apartments like they were an orphan, and the shinobi would draw from a random list of someone from the IT department would talk to the parents in the meantime. No parents understood responsibility sooner than when they received notification from Ibiki. Uncle too made them learn quickly. A few days, she said. He knew it was a lie from the way she turned her gaze. You know that I'm in the torture and interrogation department, right? And hiding facts from me as your superior officer can be a punishable offense. The girl closed her eyes. Years. Since the third year of the academy, one of my classmates said that her older sister went into a diet and caught her man in a few days. I thought it would work with Sasuke-kun, but Sakura. Boys do not mature emotionally like girls. You can be as thin as a needle and as attractive as a kunoichi from Netsuko village. But until they hit their teen years, boys do not see girls as love interests. And even then, it varies from the boy. That said, where were your parents? You didn't drop dead somewhere in the middle of academy. So they did feed you. They usually come back late in the afternoon for dinner, she said. Leftovers from the day go in the fridge, so I have breakfast and eggs. Which you don't eat, he said as he crossed his arms. Sakura, I'm not gonna tell you it's unhealthy, because it wouldn't change anything. A lot of people claim it's because you're screaming inside for attention, or because you're generally ignored at home and seeking comfort. But I'm not. A lot of people. I'm your sensei. You're not a teenager girl. You're a kunoichi. I understand, sensei. I'll start eating then. She said that forced a smile. She would not, as he could see that. She was just gonna try harder to hide it. No, you won't, he said. I will be talking to Naruto. She was confused. Sensei, what does Naruto have to do with me? You decided that you would be his friend, did you? She still didn't understand where he was going with this. So now I'll have to tell him that you'll be dead before he can even make Chunin. Sensei, there was fear in her voice. You lasted 15 minutes training, Sakura. 15 minutes is not an acceptable time for these normal exercises. Sometimes you'll be fighting for the same amount after running hours in the same day. Sometimes you'll be finding yourself to keep your teammates protected and safe over a longer period of time. And someone like you in your condition would be guaranteed to die. All because you don't want to eat. Your teammates will be killed. But I don't want your excuse, Sakura, Aoba said. I don't even want your word that you will eat. I know you won't. You will go back home, you'll think about it, and then you won't eat. So I'll just prepare Naruto to accept that fate, who can count his friends on his single hand. I'm gonna tell him that he will lose one. If I tell him now, maybe I can provide him a hope of not becoming too attached. So when you can't even parry a bandit sword and get slashed midway, he won't be so upset. Or maybe I'll avoid him, only to see you get captured and to find your raped corpse a few days later. Her face pale as her eyes became teary. You have a choice, Sakura. Either you eat or you don't. Be an effective shinobi or you're not. You're studious. Grab a book about healthy diet on your free time. But till then, what should I tell Naruto? She shook her head strongly. You're dismissed for the day. The girl ran. She ran as fast as she could off the training ground. Aoba sighed with relief. The girl would eat. If not out of fear, then out of guilt. If not, he would call upon the person that fit the girl for combat, and then he would warn her parents. This was what senseis did after all. But guys, if we end this episode right here, if you want the next part of do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also, go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto Was an Elite Blue-Eye Uchiha, and enjoy that, guys. And remember, if you're new, to go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become a part of the Making family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. And also, guys, I have 3 channels: Anime King, Anime King 2, and Anime King 3. So go ahead and check out those and enjoy. What is every single day for you guys to enjoy. So yeah, without further ado, I'm out for now. See you guys soon. Peace.